Morning, welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. I haven't talked to you in a little bit. I've been working really hard. Today I want to talk about the World Mother again because I'm kind of narrowing down where I think she originally came from and how we got here. So, I don't ever get anything directly out. It's always bits and pieces. She spoon feeds you information little bits at a time, and then she makes you look for it so you can corroborate it, which I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that because before I even say anything about these places that I go in my sleep or these beings that I communicate with, I like to corroborate it somehow. So I think that I have gotten to roughly where she comes from. And I know that she's Lemurian, and the Lemurians had a civilization here about 225,000 years ago. And if you divide that up to the time that the World Mother makes her rounds around every 26,000 years, so if you've got around 225,000 years, then we've got 9 mother cycles. That's 9 visits from Mother. Anyway, Lemuria was a group of Venusians. They were living in a colony in a system called Lemuria, and they were traveling back to Venus, and they crashed in the Gobi Desert. And they were there after that. And how many long time ago, millions of years ago, I'm not sure, a long time ago. But I know that 225,000 years ago, that there was a civilization in the Gobi Desert, and it has the largest pyramid in the world, and it will be discovered. And I also got this information about the pyramid and the Gobi Desert. It's been verified. I found a book. It was either one of them by Valiant Thor or another one that I'm reading on the Internet Archive. I've just finished like 8 books. Most of them are from Valiant Thor. One of them talks about Vril, which is a really good book. And there's a part in there that I'll play because it's really important information. It talks about our origins. Okay, so when I went and met the World Mother for the first time, it was the Lunar New Year. And I've described the way that she looks over and over again, and there were these men that were there accompanying her. And I know I was at the North Pole, and it was not cold. Not cold. It's not cold there. It's warm. It's warm. It's tropical weather. And the men were wearing loincloths, and they had this honey-colored hair. Okay? I've found them. They're the Yamnaya. They're the Yamnaya. That's who those men were. They were Yamnaya. And she is a Uyghur. She's a Uyghur. What they call Uyghurs in China. And so I want to play you this little video about the Uyghurs because this is what she looks like. She looks Chinese. She looks Inuit. She has this round China face. And see, she has this very pale white skin like this. And I know that she's Asian or Eskimo, and she said that she's our mother. So I'm going to play this video that talks about the Uyghur people right here. And I want you to listen to it. Okay, here we go.
So Uyghur people, we are Turkic. So Turks actually traveled from the Turkestan, east and west, throughout the Altai region. So we are Turks, original Turks, we call ourselves. The place where we are is in the heart of Central Asia. We prefer to call it East Turkestan. The Chinese government calls the place Xinjiang and also say that it's a historical part of China. But Xinjiang means new territory or new frontier. That the name came after the Qing dynasty. During the Qing dynasty, it was occupied, it was colonized by the Qing army. As Uyghurs, like many other people, we feel ashamed being colonized and our land being taken away from us. So Uyghur people, we are Turkic.
You notice how she says that? Uyghur?
The Turkestan.
It almost sounds like the city of doesn't it? Uyghur? They don't say that when they talk about them in the news. They don't pronounce their name that way. That's the native tongue. And I firmly believe that I'm getting to the heart of it, because if you listen to what she was saying there, she was talking about how they're intertwined with the Qing dynasty. Okay, well, I went a bit further. So I started looking at the Yamnaya and the Uyghurs people, okay? And if you go back and you look at the genealogical path of R1b, they say that that's the paternal lineage of most of these modern day Indo-European people, okay? All right, well, that's R1b haplogroup. So if you go back and you look at this Uyghurs people, they have R1b haplogroup too. They have R1b haplogroup, and they come from the Altai region in central China. Okay, there's still lines of R1b in Japan, China, Korea, and Vietnam, which let's look back at our military history with these countries. I mean, you seriously can't make this stuff up. Okay, so there was a civilization in Lemuria, and that it will be discovered. It's the largest pyramid in the world, is under the desert, in the Gobi Desert. And the interesting thing that I started looking at is when you go back and you look at the original group of people, they tie in with this Qing dynasty, Qing dynasty, or imperial dynasty, and they were ruled by the Manchu people from Manchuria. And have you ever heard of the Manchurian Candidate, folks? That's a person, mainly a politician, being used by an enemy power. And so, why do we use the word Manchurian Candidate? I don't even understand that. I mean, that sounds to me like a thick plot, if you ask me, a thick plot. And the fact that, you know, these people right here have been genocided, and they're Turkish. They're Turkish. So the first people were Turkish, and they were these people, the Yamnaya, that was the maternal line of the World Mother. They came from the World Mother. This is her group of people that were very much like the World Mother. They were these Turks, and this is where the Tartarians come from. The Tartarians come from this group. They are the Uyghurs and the Yamnaya people together, because the Yamnaya were descendants from the giants. And this is why I have a guardian that is a giant. And he has reached his hand through the ceiling and rescued me when I was being attacked by this big bug thing that had claws and teeth. And he was trying to climb. He was trying to get inside of me. I had a huge incision that went from right under my breast all the way down to my pubic bone. And I'd had a major surgery. And I woke up and I had this thing on top of me, and I was paralyzed. And he literally, the whole top of my ceiling disappeared. And he stuck his arm through and picked it off of me. And his hand had to have been 2.5 feet wide. Kid you not. Kid you not. So my guardian, I have a guardian who watches over me. My watcher is a giant. And his name is Theo. And his name is Theo. And, you know, this is where the first seeding of this planet comes from, is from these groups. They came from Hyperborea. And we had all of the continents together in one group. They were not separated by continental shift. And you can go back and corroborate all of these groups that came from the World Mother are places where there are mountain ranges all over the world, because originally this was all one original set of mountain ranges. And when we had the continents break apart, part of the mountains were here, over here. They shifted all over the planet. And if you go to where these spots are, you will see that this group of people that have this physical appearance in one way or another, either they're blended with these Yamnaya people, which were these giants. They have a blending of this. They have Asian eyes. They have very, very, very light skin. The Yamnaya people, they had more brown skin. They were more brown skin. They looked like a golden honey color, and they had the same color hair. And all the men had long hair, too. That's the other thing. They all had long hair, and they were wearing a loincloth. And they looked just like the depiction that's drawn of what the Yamnaya looked like. They look like kind of like Vikings, really. That's kind of like what they look like. But they were not big and buff like that. They were absolutely fit and tight, but they were kind of more of a lean side. They really make them look bulky, like steroid bulky. They didn't look like that. They didn't look like that. But they are, let me tell you, they got some tight bodies. I'll just put it that way. And the World Mother, you know, I'm still trying to see what she's got underneath that coat, underneath that cape. You know, that wolf skin that she has wrapped around her. I really think she's a she-wolf. But I'm going back and I'm reading these, this myths of these people in this region, and she might actually be a serpent. And the first beings, the first things that she created was a wolf, and the other was, I think, a deer. It was a deer, which kind of, you know, sets me off again, because then I start thinking about the Game of Thrones. And I start thinking about the dragon line, which was the World Mother, and then her first creations, which was the direwolf people. The giants came from another place. They were, the Yamnaya descendants came from the giants. Where they came from, I'm not quite sure. You know, maybe they came from Venus too. I don't know. I know the world, maybe they came from Mars. Maybe that's how the Martians got here, because I keep feeling like the Mars was a masculine energy and the mother came from Venus. I know that she came from Venus. And right now, you know, we have a lot of testosterone on Mars, and they're, you know, underground bases and all the little nice little things that they do, you know, to other humans that have the right DNA template to be able to pass through stargates. You know, they're put into these programs on Mars. And, you know, when we get done here, if, you know, when we graduate, when Mother comes back every 26,000 years, when we graduate from here, we get to go back to Venus. We go back to Venus. That's how it works. That's how it works. If you don't qualify for harvest, you stay here. Plain and simple. You keep going till you wake up and you get it right. And you don't have to force all this on people. They'll come and find it. If they're in the space where they're embracing the Divine Mother, she'll make herself known to them. But to them, because you have to make a commitment. You have to be committed, because this is all about loving the planet and nurturing the mother, because she embodies the earth with her essence. It's a living thing. The earth is a living thing, and she is the mother of our earth. And so that's one thing that I want to talk about the World Mother, is that, yeah, I'm starting to narrow down where she's coming, where she came from. And, you know, how this all ties into Berlin, the only thing I can think is that the Yamnaya people ended up in Berlin, because there's, in the gene history of this group of people around in China, you had the Germans that brought some of their DNA in the 30s, in the 1930s. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Isn't that when they were doing all of that stuff, trying to get off planet, and they were talking to those beings from Aldebaran, and trying to get all of this ancient technology? Why do you think that the Germans went down to meet all of these Mongolian monks and these monks and all of these highly evolved Buddha type people? They were traveling all out along the Silk Road to some of these very ancient monasteries, where you had these Asian people that have been housing records for thousands and thousands of years. My teacher said that these libraries make the Vatican look like a little podunk school library. That there are scrolls and books and things, ancient things, that all the way up to, I mean, the ceiling goes up and up and up. And that there are tables that go all the way down, and that there are monks that sit there and they translate all day. That's all they do, is translate, because there's so much material that they constantly have to rewrite the oldest text, so the information, are able to save the information before it's gone, because of time and deterioration of the ink and the manuscripts and all of these things, because they're all housed here. Because, you know, a lot of these sacred libraries have been taken by our special groups that are trying to keep this information quiet. So this brings me to the second part of this conversation, and this is one of the reasons why I haven't made any videos lately is I'm trying to find out some information. All of this stuff is kind of leading me down to discovery. I've had an interesting whole entire life with seeing into the veil, being contacted by spirits, having a very traumatic childhood with sleep disturbances, nightmares all the time, having to get in bed with my parents, and traumatic things that's happened to me throughout my life. And in my class, I have a classmate that I've never really spoke with, but this person is part of this SSP group, and this person discovered that they were in the Super Soldiers program. And so this person directed me to some information, and so I started watching. I'd never heard of SSP. And as I started listening to their stories about these Super Soldier programs, I started to realize that a lot of the things that has happened to these children that are in these Super Soldier programs and things that happened to them as an adult have all happened to me. And as they go through this things that happen, like waking up with bloody noses, waking up with pains in their body, waking up with bruises and marks, astral traveling, encountering otherworldly beings, all these different types of things. Because, I've met quite a few extraterrestrial, and, it's really, I want to document all this. I really want to document all this, because if you are an SSP, if you come from these bloodlines, these old bloodlines, you probably are. You've probably been in one of these government programs and you don't even know it. And I think the other thing is that I think that my mom has been as well, and my grandmother. All three of us. I think all three of us. And so I'm going to document this information along is how do you find out, how do you unlock your memories? How do you unlock your memories? And this is one thing that I'm going to document. And then there was one other thing that I wanted to share, and it slipped my mind. I don't know. I have so many things that are going on right now, but so that's it in a nutshell. We've got, I know what it was. Is that I was looking at these groups, a lot of these government black op groups that use these children for these SSP programs. There's a bunch of names of them, but one of them is Shaw. One of these companies' name is Shaw, and I have family members that are Shaws. The other one is called Monarch, and the first tattoo I ever got was a monarch butterfly on my shoulder. Or is this one? No, it's the other side. The other side. My first tattoo was a monarch butterfly. And the other thing that I thought was interesting is that not only about the waking up with bruises, waking up with, pains, bloody noses. I can't hear out of my left ear. I'm hearing impaired. My brother was also hearing impaired. My father was hearing impaired. My great-grandpa, who's 100% Iberian Peninsula, 100% Miller, German, old bloodline, totally deaf by the time he got in his 50s. He was totally deaf. And so, there's so many coincidences that can't be ignored. So I really want to go back and, I have an appointment to talk to one of these people that's been in these programs, that has another person that works in these programs, and they're whistleblowing. And I have a appointment that I'm setting up with her. I've already secured my spot, and I'm going to do an interview with her. Her name is Jessica. And then the final thing that I wanted to say about these programs is that they have these operations. One of them was called MK Ultra. One of them was like Stargate, Blue Book. Well, one of them is called Project Camelot. Okay. Camelot, that's an interesting subject because my dad is illegitimate descendant from the Kennedy family on his father's side. And the Kennedy family wrote a book called The Dogs of Camelot. Okay, well, Jessica Morocco, and you can look her up on YouTube. Jessica Morocco just brought forth some information today. You know, I've talked about these canine hybrids. She said that one of the things they do when they bring people back, because what they do is they take your hologram when you're a child, they kidnap you, and then they age regress you and bring you back, and it's no time has ever passed. So is that something? Parents never even know their kids are going missing. You get taken and then you get age regressed and brought back. So the interesting thing about Project Camelot is that when they brought people back, that these people were like fried. They were not working up. They didn't get restored, right? So they took their souls and put them in mannequins. Balenciaga mannequin guy that went missing, right? The Lyran guy, the black guy that's obviously from Lyra, who's a Melchizedek. He was a model for Balenciaga, and now they have a mannequin, very lifelike mannequin of him that sits in a glass window in one of the Balenciaga stores. Okay, people, you need to look at that. You need to look at that. They are putting the souls. Also, the consciousness is going into dogs. Project Camelot is about about this kind of business. So here's your Balenciaga stuff. This is your lifelike mannequins. Probably really lifelike. You know what I mean? Because they've got a piece of this consciousness in it. And the other thing is that the Kennedys wrote this book on the dogs called The Dogs of Camelot. And so I'm thinking, okay, what are they saying? What is going on here? You can't make this stuff up. So that's it for today. When you come and find me, I'll be here. We're living in the past, present, and the future, all at the same time. Do you think that you could probably be one of these? You know, have you had experiences your whole life? Do you come from one of these original blood families? You know, I mean, are you Iberian? There's people that are here that survived the first cataclysm, and they're related to the World Mother. And when you go back and you start looking at these groups, you'll see that a lot of these groups have been persecuted for eons. They've been in slavery. They've been genocide. Even the Germans, the colony of Germans that live on Mars, they got off planet because they were just tired of being genocide, you know? And, you know, you've got different groups of Germans, okay? We got good and bad and everything. We got different groups of Germans. We got some really old Germans that go back to, like, the Yamnaya people. You know, this is your steppe people. These are all these Indo-European groups. They all come from the Yamnaya. And then we have another group of people, you know, that come from this Asian group. That's the World Mother. And you have the Melchizedek's group. You have people that have dark skin, you know, that are more of the African-American, what you would call an African-American skin tone. They're Melchizedek's. That's Archangel Michael's collective, you know. So, you know, we're all from these groups. We're all from these groups, and it has to do with canines and cats and lions, stuff like that. No, it sounds crazy, but that's what the field dictated for their form. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So with that, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. And I'm sorry about the rambling. Don't forget, you can speed this up at any time. So I tell you to get outside today. It's raining. We needed the water very much so, and the flowers are going to be blooming. So thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.